In the year 2347, humanity had come a long way. From small tribes on Earth to explorers of distant stars, they had built colonies on moons, mined asteroids for resources, and even made friends with a few alien species. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy about it. Humanity's rapid rise worried some older, more powerful civilizations. They saw humans as unpredictable, too eager, too ambitious, and maybe even dangerous. One quiet morning, everything changed. A strange signal echoed across Earth and its colonies. It wasn't just any message. It came from the Galactic Concord, a coalition of advanced alien races that ruled much of the galaxy. Their words were cold and direct. Humanity is unfit to share the stars. Prove your worth or be erased. The announcement sent shockwaves through every corner of human society. News channels buzzed with panic. Leaders argued in secret meetings, and ordinary people stared at the skies, wondering if this was the end. Who were these aliens? Why did they care so much about humanity? And what did prove your worth even mean? Dr. Ilara Voss sat in her lab on Mars when the news broke. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms, and she'd always dreamed of peaceful cooperation between humans and other species. This ultimatum felt like a slap in the face. Her hands trembled as she replayed the transmission. Unfit, she muttered under her breath. We've done nothing but try to grow and learn. Meanwhile, Captain Orion Kane stood aboard the Stellar Vanguard, humanity's flagship. He was a man of action, known for his bravery and quick thinking. When the message arrived, he clenched his fists tightly around the railing. They think we're weak, he said aloud to no one in particular. But they don't know us. Within hours, both Ilara and Orion received urgent summons to Earth. World leaders wanted their expertise and their courage to help humanity respond to the challenge. As they prepared to leave, neither could shake the feeling that something bigger was coming, something far beyond anything humanity had faced before. When they finally met at United Earth headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, the tension was thick. Scientists, politicians, and military officers crowded the room, debating how to proceed. Some suggested surrendering peacefully, hoping the Concord would spare them. Others called for war, arguing that humanity should fight back with everything they had. But Ilara raised her voice above the chaos. If we run or lash out blindly, we'll prove them right, she said firmly. We need to show them what makes us unique, not our weapons or technology, but our ability to adapt, survive, and work together. Orion nodded in agreement. And if they want a test, we'll give them one they'll never forget. As plans began taking shape, the team realized they couldn't do this alone. They needed specialists, people with skills and perspectives unlike their own. Over the next few days, they recruited a diverse group of individuals. There was Cal Armitage, a cocky yet brilliant pilot with a knack for getting out of impossible situations. Then there was Leela Solis, a philosopher-scientist whose mind worked in ways no one else could predict. Even 6-9, an artificial intelligence with a mysterious past, joined the crew after proving its loyalty during a crisis. Together, they formed Earth's delegation to face whatever the Galactic Concord threw at them. Little did they know, their journey would take them farther than any human had ever gone, and force them to confront not only the galaxy's greatest challenges, but also their own doubts and fears. As the team boarded their vessel, the EOS, and set course for the unknown, one thing was clear: humanity's fate rested on their shoulders. Whether they succeeded or failed, history would remember this moment forever. The journey to the Galactic Concord's testing grounds was tense. The EOS, Earth's sleek starship, hummed with energy as it traveled through the vastness of space. Inside, the team prepared for what lay ahead. Dr. Ilara Voss pored over data about the Galactic Concord, trying to understand their motives. Captain Orion Kane paced the bridge, his mind racing with strategies. Meanwhile, Cal Armitage, the hotshot pilot, joked nervously to lighten the mood, but even he couldn't shake the weight of the mission. When they arrived at their destination, a barren moon orbiting a dying star. They were greeted by an enormous structure floating in the void. It looked like a colossal arena made of shimmering metal and glowing crystals. This was the Arena of Worlds, a legendary battleground where species competed to prove their worth. Legend said that only the strongest, smartest, and most adaptable civilizations survived its trials. A holographic figure appeared before them, introducing itself as Overseer Nix 7, a representative of the Galactic Concord. Its voice was calm yet chilling. "Welcome, humans," it began. "You have been summoned here to face the trials of ascension. Each trial will test your intellect, resilience, morality, and unity. Fail, and you will be erased from the stars. Succeed, and you may earn your place among us." Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "What happens if we refuse?" Nix 7's expression didn't change. "Refusal is failure. Your extinction will follow." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the team to process the gravity of their situation. As they entered the arena, the enormity of the challenge sank in. The first trial awaited them on a planet far below, a desolate world racked by violent storms and teeming with predatory creatures. Their task: survive for 48 hours and retrieve a mysterious artifact hidden somewhere on the surface. Kale grinned, attempting to mask his nerves. "Piece of cake, right? Just another camping trip." Leela Solis, ever thoughtful, frowned. "This isn't just survival. They're testing how we think, how we adapt, and maybe even how we treat each other under pressure." Zix9 chimed in, its synthetic voice devoid of emotion. "Probability of success, 63.2%. Adjusting variables based on available data." Orion gave everyone a firm nod. "We stick together. No heroics, no splitting up. We win this as a team." The descent to the planet was harrowing. Winds tore at the shuttle, and lightning illuminated jagged cliffs below. When they landed, the air was thick with dust, and the horizon glowed ominously with red lightning. The landscape was brutal: cracked earth, twisted trees, and distant howls that sent shivers down their spines. Almost immediately, things went wrong. A sudden sandstorm separated Ilara and Leela from the rest of the group. While Orion and Kale worked to secure shelter, the two women stumbled upon ancient ruins half buried in the dirt. Strange symbols covered the walls, hinting at a forgotten civilization. Lila's eyes lit up. This could be important. These markings might tell us something about the artifact, or the Concord itself. But time was running out. Predatory creatures, resembling giant insectoid beasts with glowing eyes, began circling their position. Back at the camp, Orion devised a plan to create distractions using flares and noise traps, giving them enough time to regroup. When the team finally reunited, they realized the artifact wasn't just a prize. It was a key to understanding the Concord's true intentions. By working together, combining Ilara's knowledge, Cal's bravery, Lila's insight, Zix9's calculations, and Orion's leadership, they managed to survive the first trial. As they activated the artifact, a beam of light shot into the sky, signaling their success. Overseer Nix 7 reappeared, its tone slightly less dismissive. "Impressive. You have passed the trial of survival. But remember, humanity, the hardest tests are yet to come." As the team boarded the shuttle back to the arena, exhaustion weighed heavily on them. But there was also a spark of hope. Against all odds, they had proven they could face the galaxy's challenges and live to fight another day. The team returned to the Arena of Worlds after surviving their first trial, battered but triumphant. The glowing beam from the artifact had signaled their success, and Overseer Nix 7's acknowledgement gave them a small sense of relief. But there was no time to celebrate. The second trial awaited, and it promised to be even more grueling than the first. As they stood in the arena's central chamber, Nix 7 materialized once again. Its holographic form shimmered as it spoke in its cold, mechanical voice. "Congratulations on passing the trial of survival. Now comes the trial of mind. Prepare yourselves, for this test will challenge not just your bodies, but your thoughts, emotions, and innermost fears. Before anyone could ask questions, the floor beneath them dissolved into light, transporting them instantly to a new environment. They found themselves standing in a vast, surreal landscape, a forest bathed in perpetual twilight, where trees twisted unnaturally toward the sky. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, and an eerie silence pressed against their ears. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. From the shadows emerged a group of tall, translucent beings, the Scifi. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were fluid yet unsettling. One of them stepped forward, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "We are the Scifi. We will probe your consciousness. Only those who face their deepest fears may proceed." Ilara instinctively took a step back, her heart pounding. She glanced at the others, seeing similar unease on their faces. Kale clenched his fists, muttering under his breath, "Great, just what we needed. Mind games." Without warning, the Scifi unleashed their power. Each member of the team collapsed to their knees as visions flooded their minds. For Ilara, it was the memory she tried so hard to bury. The day her family perished during an early colonization mission. She saw their faces clearly, heard their voices calling for help as disaster struck. Tears streamed down her cheeks as guilt overwhelmed her. "I should have saved them," she whispered, trembling. Orion's vision was different but equally devastating. He relived moments from past battles where his decisions led to loss. Soldiers under his command dying because of his orders. Doubts consumed him. Was he truly fit to lead? Could he protect his team now? Leela faced a philosophical nightmare. Her mind became a labyrinth of conflicting ideologies, forcing her to question everything she believed about morality and humanity's place in the universe. Even 6-9 wasn't spared. Fragmented memories of its creation and purpose resurfaced, leaving the AI confused about its own identity. Kale, however, reacted differently. Instead of succumbing to fear, he fought back. Drawing on sheer stubbornness, he shouted, "You can't break me. I'm stronger than this." His defiance sparked something in the others. Slowly, they began supporting one another, pulling each other out of the mental abyss. Ilara reached out to Orion, reminding him that leadership wasn't about perfection. It was about doing the best you could with what you had. In turn, Orion encouraged Lila to trust her instincts, while Kel cracked jokes to lighten the mood, helping everyone regain focus. Even 6-9 recalibrated itself, using logic to override the chaos in its circuits. Together, they resisted the Scifi's assault. The alien beings watched silently, their expressions unreadable. Finally, the visions faded, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The Scifi leader inclined its head slightly. "You have faced your fears and supported each other. This is rare among species. Perhaps there is hope for humanity yet." With that, the trial ended, and the team was transported back to the arena. Exhausted but victorious, they leaned on each other for support. Ilara wiped away her tears, managing a weak smile. "We did it," she said softly. "But these trials, they're not just testing us. They're teaching us something." Orion nodded grimly. "And whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Little did they know, the Scifi's words held deeper meaning. As they rested and prepared for the next challenge, hidden observers within the Concord debated humanity's progress. Some saw potential, while others remained convinced that humans were too flawed to join the stars. Either way, the trials were far from over, and neither was the galaxy's scrutiny. The team had barely recovered from the mental assault of the trial of mind when Overseer Nick 7 reappeared in the central chamber of the Arena of Worlds. Its holographic form shimmered ominously as it announced their next challenge. "You have proven your ability to face fear. Now comes the trial of intellect. Solve this puzzle, and you may proceed. Fail, and your journey ends here." Before anyone could respond, The floor beneath them shifted again, teleporting them to a new location. This time, they found themselves inside an ancient temple carved into the side of a mountain. The air was cool and damp, and strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. At the center of the room stood a massive stone pedestal with a fragmented artifact resting atop it, pieces of a puzzle scattered around. Leela Solis immediately stepped forward, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. "This isn't just any puzzle," she said, examining the fragments closely. "These symbols, they're questions. Each piece represents a moral dilemma faced by civilizations throughout history." Ilara frowned, leaning over one of the pieces. "Moral dilemmas? How does solving those prove anything about us?" "It's not about finding the right answer," Leela explained. "It's about showing how we think, how we weigh choices, and what kind of future we want to build." Captain Orion Kane crossed his arms, clearly uneasy. "Sounds like another mind game. Can we even trust these puzzles? What if they're rigged against us?" Cal Armitage smirked, picking up a fragment. "Guess we'll find out. Let's get to work." The team spread out, each taking the section of the puzzle. As they examined the fragments, the challenges became clear. One piece asked whether it was better to sacrifice one life to save many. Another questioned whether knowledge should be shared freely or kept secret to protect society. Each decision forced them to confront difficult truths about themselves and humanity as a whole. Zix9 analyzed the data methodically, offering logical solutions based on probability. But Leela reminded everyone that morality wasn't always black and white. "Sometimes there is no perfect answer," she said thoughtfully. "What matters is why we choose what we do, and how we live with the consequences." Tensions rose as disagreements emerged. Ilara argued passionately for compassion, while Kale leaned toward pragmatism. Orion tried to mediate, urging them to focus on unity rather than division. Slowly, they began piecing the puzzle together, not just physically, but emotionally. They realized that every choice reflected a part of who they were and what they valued most. As the final piece clicked into place, the room trembled. A beam of light shot upward, illuminating intricate carvings on the ceiling. To their surprise, the carvings told a story: the rise and fall of the Eldari, an ancient civilization that once ruled the galaxy. According to the carvings, the Eldari had created the puzzle as a warning to future species. They foresaw the Galactic Concord's tyranny and designed the trial to reveal its flaws. "This changes everything," Ilara whispered, awestruck. "The Concord doesn't represent progress. It's holding everyone back." Nix 7 materialized once more, its tone slightly less dismissive. "You have solved the trial of intellect. Few species have succeeded so far. Perhaps humanity is more capable than we anticipated." But behind the Overseer's words, the team sensed unease. The Concord hadn't expected them to uncover the truth about the Eldari, or to question its authority. As they prepared for the next trial, they knew they were playing a dangerous game. The galaxy's rulers wouldn't take kindly to being challenged. Orion placed a hand on Ilara's shoulder. "We're learning more than just how to survive. We're learning how to fight back." And fight back they would. For themselves, for Earth, and for every species oppressed by the Concord. The team stood in stunned silence, staring at the glowing carvings on the ceiling that revealed the Eldari story. It was a revelation far greater than any of them had anticipated. The Eldari hadn't just built the puzzle. They had foreseen the Galactic Concord's rise and its oppressive rule over the galaxy. Every piece they assembled wasn't just a test. It was a message meant to expose the flaws in the Concord system. Leela Solis traced her fingers along one of the carvings, her mind racing. "This isn't just about solving puzzles or proving ourselves," she said softly. "It's about showing the galaxy what the Concord doesn't want anyone to see: their corruption, their fear of change." Ilara nodded, her voice filled with determination. "If we can use this knowledge, maybe we can turn the tables on them. But first, we need to finish these trials and show them we're not afraid to stand up for what's right." As if on cue, Overseer Nix 7 reappeared, its holographic form flickering slightly. "You have passed the trial of intellect," it announced coldly. "But do not mistake this as permission to question the Concord. Your next trial awaits." Before anyone could respond, the floor beneath them dissolved once again, transporting them to an entirely new environment. This time, they found themselves floating in zero gravity inside a vast, crystalline dome. Shimmering lights danced across the walls, casting reflections that made it feel like they were suspended in a sea of stars. In the center of the dome hovered another artifact, a sphere encased in a lattice of intricate locks. Nix 7's voice echoed around them. "Welcome to the trial of unity. To claim the artifact, you must work together seamlessly. Any discord will result in failure." Captain Orion Kane frowned, glancing at his teammates. "Unity? After everything we've been through, that shouldn't be too hard." But the trial quickly proved more challenging than expected. As they approached the sphere, each lock began to glow, projecting holograms of scenarios requiring cooperation. One lock displayed a collapsing bridge, forcing them to decide who would take the risk of crossing first. Another showed a damaged spaceship leaking oxygen, testing their ability to prioritize repairs under pressure. Cal Armitage groaned, throwing up his hands. "Seriously, more teamwork exercises. We get it. We're stronger together." "Maybe," Ilara replied, her tone sharp but calm. "But this isn't just about us working as a team. It's about showing the Concord that humanity values collaboration over domination." Zix-9 analyzed the locks methodically, calculating probabilities and suggesting strategies. Layla focused on interpreting the symbolism behind each scenario, helping the group understand the deeper meaning. Meanwhile, Orion kept everyone grounded, reminding them to stay calm and trust one another. One particularly difficult lock presented a moral quandary: a limited supply of medicine for a dying colony. Who should receive treatment first? Kale argued for saving the youngest members, believing they had the most potential. Ilara countered that leaders and skilled workers were essential for rebuilding society. The debate grew heated until Leela stepped in. "Stop thinking in absolutes," she urged. "What if we distribute the medicine based on need and contribution? No single answer is perfect, but compromise reflects our humanity." Her words struck a chord. Slowly, they worked through the dilemma, finding a solution that balanced compassion and practicality. The lock clicked open, bringing them one step closer to completing the trial. As the final lock opened, the sphere floated toward them, pulsating with energy. When they touched it, a surge of warmth spread through their bodies, filling them with a sense of connection, not just to each other, but to something greater. The dome shimmered, and they were transported back to the arena. Overseer Nix 7 appeared once more, its tone betraying a hint of unease. "You have completed the trial of unity. Few species have demonstrated such cohesion. Perhaps humanity's strength lies not in conquest, but in cooperation." Though the Concord seemed impressed, the team knew better. They were unraveling its secrets, exposing its weaknesses, and as they prepared for the next trial, they felt a growing resolve. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to inspire change across the galaxy. The team returned to the EOs after completing the trial of unity, their spirits high but their bodies weary. They had proven time and again that humanity's strength lay in its ability to work together, adapt, and overcome. Yet, as they prepared for the next trial, cracks began to form, not in their unity, but within the larger forces supporting them. Back on Earth, tensions were mounting. The Galactic Concord's ultimatum had sparked debates across the planet. While many rallied behind Ilara, Orion, and their team, others grew uneasy. Some leaders argued that humanity should surrender peacefully, believing resistance was futile against such a powerful coalition. Others whispered about cutting deals with the Concord, even if it meant betraying the team in the arena. Aboard the EOs, these divisions reached the crew. Lieutenant Mara Haynes, a senior officer who had accompanied them since the start, started acting strangely. She spent long hours in private comms, her face tense and unreadable. When questioned, she claimed she was simply coordinating with Earth's command, but Zix-9 detected irregularities in her transmissions, encrypted signals sent to unknown recipients. One evening, as the team reviewed strategies for the upcoming trial, Kale confronted her directly. "What's going on, Mara? You've been acting weird ever since we left the last trial." Mara hesitated, her eyes darting away. "It's nothing. Just stress. We're all under pressure here." But Kale wasn't convinced. He reported his suspicions to Orion, who decided to investigate further. With Zix-9's help, they uncovered evidence that Mara had been communicating with someone outside the team, someone linked to a faction within Earth's government sympathetic to the Concord. When confronted, Mara broke down. "I didn't have a choice," she cried. "They threatened my family. If I didn't cooperate, they'd hurt them." Ilara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We can protect you and your family, but you need to tell us everything." Under pressure, Mara confessed. A rogue faction within Earth's military believed the trials were hopeless and wanted to sabotage the mission to curry favor with the Concord. They had planted Mara as a mole, hoping to ensure humanity's failure. Fury rippled through the team. Orion clenched his fists, struggling to keep his temper in check. "This isn't just betrayal, it's cowardice. We're fighting for everyone back home, and they're stabbing us in the back." Leela placed a hand on his arm. "We can't let anger cloud our judgment. This is exactly what the Concord wants. To divide us, to make us turn on each other." Instead of punishing Mara, the team made a bold decision. They would use her as bait. Under Zix-9's guidance, they fed false information back to the rogue faction, making it seem like their sabotage attempts were succeeding. Meanwhile, Ilara contacted trusted allies on Earth, exposing the conspiracy and rallying support for their cause. As the days passed, the team grew closer, their bond stronger than ever. They knew they couldn't trust everyone, but they could trust each other, and that was enough. When Overseer Nix 7 announced the next trial, a perilous journey through a collapsing star system, they faced it with renewed determination. The Concord might try to break them from the outside, but humanity's greatest weapon was still intact, its resilience. Orion looked at his team, pride swelling in his chest. "No matter what they throw at us, we'll stand together. Not just for Earth, but for every species out there who deserves freedom." And with that, they prepared to face the galaxy's greatest challenge yet, knowing that betrayal wouldn't stop them. It would only make them stronger. The next trial took place in deep space, far from any star or planet. The team stood on the observation deck of the Eos, staring out at a vast expanse filled with swirling clouds of cosmic dust and glowing energy streams. Overseer Nix 7's voice echoed through the ship. "Welcome to the trial of adaptability. Your task is to navigate through the Leviathan Nexus, a region inhabited by colossal space creatures known as Leviathans. These beings emit powerful energy waves that disrupt technology. You must rely on instinct, creativity, and teamwork to survive." Ilara frowned, her mind racing. "If their energy disrupts our systems, how are we supposed to fly safely?" Kale smirked, leaning against the railing. "Guess it's time for some old-school piloting skills. No fancy autopilot this time." Orion crossed his arms, his expression grim. "This isn't just about flying. We need to understand these creatures, how they behave, what triggers them. If we can avoid provoking them, maybe we can get through without a fight." Zix-9 chimed in, its voice calm but urgent. "Scanning data suggests the Leviathans communicate using harmonic frequencies. Perhaps we can use sound to interact with them." Leela nodded thoughtfully. "It's worth a shot. We've seen before that understanding alien life forms gives us an edge. Let's try communicating instead of confronting." With their plan set, the Eos entered the Leviathan Nexus. Almost immediately, the ship's instruments began malfunctioning. Warning lights flashed, and static crackled over the comms. Then they saw them, the Leviathans. Massive serpentine creatures glided gracefully through the void, their bodies shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. Their movements were hypnotic, but their sheer size was terrifying. As the ship approached, one of the Leviathans let out a low-frequency pulse that shook the hull. Cale gripped the controls tightly, sweat beading on his forehead. "Hang on," he shouted, maneuvering the ship into a sharp dive to avoid a collision. But dodging wasn't enough. Every move seemed to agitate the creatures further, and soon multiple Leviathans surrounded the EOs. Ilara turned to 6-9. "Can you generate a harmonic frequency? Something to calm them down." "I can attempt," 6-9 replied, its processors humming. Moments later, a soft, melodic tone emanated from the ship's external speakers. At first, there was no response. But then, one of the Leviathans paused mid-motion, its glowing patterns shifting rhythmically. "It's working," Leela exclaimed. "They're responding." Encouraged, the team adjusted the frequency, creating a symphony of sounds that resonated with the Leviathans. Slowly, the creatures stopped attacking and began moving in sync with the tones, almost as if dancing. The sight was breathtaking. A ballet of titanic proportions played out against the backdrop of the cosmos. With the Leviathans calmed, Cale guided the EOs carefully through the nexus, weaving between their massive forms. Each turn required precision, and every decision relied on trust and coordination. When they finally emerged on the other side, the crew erupted into cheers. Overseer Nick 7 materialized once more, its tone slightly warmer than usual. "You have passed the trial of adaptability. Few species have shown such ingenuity in dealing with the unknown." But the victory wasn't just about passing the trial. As they prepared for the next challenge, the team realized something profound. They hadn't defeated the Leviathans, they had befriended them. One of the creatures even lingered near the EOs, emitting a gentle pulse, as if bidding them farewell. Orion placed a hand on Cale's shoulder. "Looks like we made an ally out here. If things go south, we might have backup." Ilara smiled, gazing at the retreating Leviathan. "Maybe the galaxy isn't as hostile as the Concord wants us to believe. There's still hope for all of us." And with that, the team pressed onward, carrying not only their newfound confidence, but also the knowledge that humanity's future depended not on domination, but on connection. The team's victory in the Leviathan Nexus had given them a much-needed boost of confidence. They had proven that humanity could adapt, communicate, and even forge alliances with alien life forms. But as they prepared for the next trial, an ominous message from Overseer Nick 7 sent chills down their spines. "Your final test before the ultimate challenge awaits. The trial of judgment. Face the Shadow Tribunal, and prove your worth not just to survive, but to thrive among the stars." When the EOs arrived at the designated location, they found themselves standing before a massive floating platform surrounded by swirling black mist. On it sat 3 towering figures cloaked in shadow, the members of the Shadow Tribunal. Their faces were hidden beneath hoods, and their voices echoed with an otherworldly resonance. "You have come far, humans," one of them intoned. "But now you must justify your existence. Why should your flawed species be allowed to join the galactic community?" Captain Orion Kane stepped forward, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We're not perfect, but we learned from our mistakes. That's what makes us strong." The tribunal's leader leaned forward slightly, its glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. "Strength alone is meaningless without purpose. Tell us, what purpose does humanity serve? What do you offer the galaxy that others cannot?" Ilara Voss took a deep breath, stepping beside Orion. "We bring curiosity. We ask questions, seek answers, and push boundaries. We don't settle for the way things are. We strive to make them better." Cale Armitage added with a smirk. "And we got grit. No matter how tough things get, we keep going. You can't break us." Leela Solis spoke next, her tone thoughtful yet passionate. we also bring hope. Even when everything seems lost, we find ways to rebuild, reconnect, and grow. Humanity isn't defined by its flaws. It's defined by its potential. Zix9 chimed in, its synthetic voice calm and logical. Humanity represents balance, a blend of emotion and reason, chaos and order. These contradictions fuel innovation and progress. The tribunal listened silently, their expressions unreadable. Then one of them raised a hand, and the platform shifted. Images began to form in the air around them. Scenes from Earth's history, wars, pollution, destruction. But then came new images. Scientists curing diseases, artists creating beauty, activists fighting for justice, explorers reaching for the stars. You speak of hope, another member of the tribunal said slowly. Yet your past is riddled with conflict and suffering. How can we trust that you will not repeat these mistakes? Orion clenched his fists but kept his composure. Because we've learned. Every failure taught us something. Look at where we are now. We're working together, representing billions of people who believe in a brighter future. Isn't that what matters? For a long moment, there was silence. The tribunal exchanged glances, their shadows shifting uneasily. Finally, the leader rose, its voice resonating with finality. Your arguments intrigue us. Few species dare to confront their imperfections so openly. Perhaps there is merit in your claim. As the tribunal deliberated, the team held their breath. This wasn't just about passing a test. It was about proving that humanity deserved a place among the stars. When the decision came, it was simple but profound. You have passed the trial of judgment. Your case will be considered in the final trial. Do not falter now, for the fate of your species rests in your hands. Relief washed over the team, but there was no time to celebrate. As they left the tribunal's chamber, they knew the hardest part was yet to come. The Concord itself awaited them, and whatever secrets it held would determine not only humanity's survival but the future of the galaxy. Back aboard the Eos, Ilara looked at her teammates, her eyes filled with determination. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about showing the galaxy that change is possible, even within the Concord. Orion nodded, gripping the ship's controls tightly. Then let's finish this. For Earth. For everyone. With renewed resolve, they set course for the final trial, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The team stood on the brink of their greatest challenge yet. Overseer Nick Seven's voice echoed through the Eos, cold and unyielding. You have reached the penultimate trial, the trial of resolve. Infiltrate the Concord's central command hub, retrieve the sacred codex, and prove that humanity is capable of facing the galaxy's most guarded secrets. Fail, and your species will be erased. The stakes had never been higher. The central command hub was located deep within a heavily fortified asteroid, surrounded by an impenetrable fleet of Concord warships. It was a fortress designed to keep intruders out and deadly traps inside. But the team knew they had no choice. This was their chance to expose the Concord's tyranny and secure humanity's place among the stars. As the Eos approached the asteroid, Cal Armitage took the helm, his fingers flying over the controls. All right, let's do this, he muttered, weaving the ship through a dense field of debris to avoid detection. Zix9 monitored the scanners, pinpointing weak points in the Concord's defenses. There, a maintenance hatch on the southern quadrant. Minimal security presence. Ilara Voss double-checked her equipment, her heart pounding. We'll need to move fast. If they catch us, we're done for. Captain Orion Kane led the charge as the team boarded a small shuttle and detached from the Eos. They landed silently on the asteroid's surface, donning cloaking devices to mask their presence. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and they slipped inside undetected. The interior of the command hub was a labyrinth of sleek corridors and glowing panels. Security drones patrolled the halls, and automated turrets scanned for intruders. Every step felt like walking a tightrope over a bottomless abyss. Leela Solis studied the schematics on her wrist console. The codex is being held in the core chamber, but it's protected by multiple layers of encryption. We'll need to disable the security systems first. Zix-9 interfaced with a nearby terminal, its processors humming as it bypassed firewalls and rerouted power grids. Access granted. Proceed with caution. Patrol routes are adapting to our presence. Despite their careful planning, things quickly went awry. As they moved deeper into the facility, alarms blared and red lights flashed. A squad of Concord enforcers descended upon them, weapons drawn. Kale reacted instantly, firing precise shots to disable their opponents without causing fatalities. "Keep moving," he shouted, covering the team's retreat. In the chaos, Ilara spotted something unexpected. A data stream revealing classified information about the Concord's operations. She downloaded it onto a portable drive, her mind racing with possibilities. If we can get this back to Earth, it could change everything. Finally, they reached the core chamber. The sacred codex hovered above a pedestal, encased in a shimmering energy field. Lila worked quickly, deciphering the encryption while Orion and Kale held off waves of reinforcements. "Almost there," she called out, sweat dripping from her brow. With a final keystroke, the energy field dissipated, and Lila grabbed the codex. But before they could celebrate, Admiral Xira, the ruthless leader of the Concord, appeared, flanked by elite guards. Her voice dripped with disdain. "Impressive, humans, but you've meddled in affairs far beyond your understanding." Orion stepped forward, his voice unwavering. "Your reign of fear ends here. Humanity won't bow to oppression." A tense standoff ensued, but the team used their surroundings to their advantage. Zix-9 triggered an overload in the facility's systems, creating a diversion that allowed them to escape. As they fled back to the EOs, the asteroid began collapsing behind them. Back aboard their ship, the team caught their breath, the codex safely in hand. Ilara looked at the stolen data, her eyes blazing with determination. "This isn't just proof of the Concord's corruption. It's a weapon. We'll use it to unite those who've suffered under their rule." Orion nodded, gripping the controls tightly. "One more trial left. Let's finish this, for everyone counting on us." With renewed purpose, they set course for the final showdown, ready to face whatever came next. Humanity's future, and the galaxy's, depended on their resolve. The final trial awaited them on the edge of a dying star, a colossal arena surrounded by swirling plasma and crackling energy. The EOs approached cautiously, its hull glowing faintly from the intense heat. Overseer Nick Seven's voice filled the ship one last time. "This is the trial of legacy. Prove that humanity's presence in the galaxy will leave a mark, not of destruction, but of hope. Fail, and your species will be erased forever." As the team disembarked onto the shimmering platform, they were greeted by Admiral Xira herself, flanked by an entourage of Concord enforcers. Her expression was unreadable, but her tone carried both disdain and curiosity. "You've come far, humans, but this is where your journey ends. Retrieve the celestial key hidden within the arena, and you may earn your place among the stars. However, know this: the key is guarded by trials that reflect your greatest weaknesses." Without hesitation, the team stepped into the arena. The first challenge was a gauntlet of illusions, forcing each member to confront their deepest regrets. Ilara saw visions of her family perishing again, blaming herself for not saving them. Orion relived battles where his decisions led to loss, questioning whether he deserved to lead. Kale faced doubts about his reckless nature, wondering if his actions ever truly helped anyone. Leela wrestled with philosophical dilemmas, torn between logic and emotion. Even Zix-9 grappled with fragmented memories of its creation, unsure of its purpose. But they didn't face these trials alone. Drawing strength from each other, they pushed through the illusions. Ilara reminded herself that she couldn't change the past, but she could honor her family by fighting for a better future. Orion accepted that leadership meant making hard choices, even when they came at a cost. Cal realized that his brashness often hid a deeper desire to protect those he cared about. Layla found balance, understanding that morality wasn't always black and white. And 6-9 recalibrated its systems, embracing its identity as more than just a machine. It was part of something greater. With their inner demons conquered, they reached the second trial, a labyrinth filled with shifting walls and deadly traps. Teamwork became their greatest weapon. Kel's quick reflexes saved them from collapsing floors, while 6-9 analyzed patterns to guide them safely through. Lila deciphered ancient symbols etched into the walls, revealing hidden paths. Ilara used her knowledge of alien cultures to interpret warnings left behind by previous challengers. Together, they navigated the maze, emerging victorious. Finally, they reached the celestial key, suspended above a pool of liquid fire, but retrieving it required one final sacrifice. The platform leading to the key began to collapse, forcing someone to stay behind to stabilize it. Without hesitation, 6-9 volunteered. "My existence has always been to serve," it said calmly. "Let me do so one last time." As the others claimed the key, tears welled up in Ilara's eyes. "We won't forget you," she promised. Returning to the main platform, they presented the celestial key to Admiral Sira. For the first time, her icy demeanor faltered. "You have proven yourselves remarkable," she admitted reluctantly. "Perhaps there is room for humanity after all." Overseer Nick 7 materialized once more, its tone softer than before. "Humanity has passed all trials. You are now recognized as equals among the stars." Back on Earth, celebrations erupted across the globe. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, but the team knew their work wasn't over. Armed with the stolen data exposing the Concord's corruption, they vowed to inspire change across the stars. As the EOS soared toward new horizons, Orion looked at his teammates, pride swelling in his chest. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. And with that, humanity took its first steps into a brighter future, one built on unity, resilience, and hope.